We have some viewer mail.
I like viewer mail. If
So
you
do
have
I.
questions, send them to doug@riskandrewardtv.org. I'd be happy to answer your questions. What do we have this week?
This is from Nabil in Naples, Florida.
Thank you, Nabil.
He writes, "You keep saying that we shouldn't look at the rearview mirror,
You shouldn't.
but how can we avoid it? That's all we can really see."
Well, that's what you can really see with certainty, of course, but that's not the only thing you can see. So when you think about the, this is basically looks at a past stock chart. I mean, when you're thinking of historical prices in stocks, they're all in the rearview mirror because they don't have a stock chart for the future price, right? So
That'd be nice to have, though.
well, and so what you're trying to do is create one. So when you think of a stock chart, this is the S&P 500. We'll start in June, little beginning of June, and it's sort of bouncing around. It comes up. You might think, well, geez, this looks pretty good. It's running up. But the question is, what's going to happen here? Is it going up further or coming down? So everything prior to that doesn't matter. If you buy here or sell here, you're going to get the result from this point forward. So this is where you are in time. So the history isn't nearly as important as what's going to happen here. Well, what was going on in July of this year?
The debt ceiling debate.
The debt ceiling debate, and Europe was in trouble, and they were going to need a bailout, and there were things that were coming up. We had a hard deadline for the debt ceiling and expanding the amount of money we could borrow. And if we came up upon that deadline, we were going to have major economic issues, so we had to do something. So we were going to have a big debate. So you could see that coming forward. That wasn't something that you couldn't project out here. There was a deadline out here in the future that you could see that said they've got to do something between now and then, so we have to address that when we're looking out the foggy windshield. So of course they moved along and everything was looking okay, and then we got to into August and it started to slip a little bit, and so now we're down here. So now your decision is here. Does it go up or come down? So when you're thinking about the foggy windshield and the rearview mirror, it's wherever you are in time. The future is the foggy windshield. What's going to happen now that's going to affect the price? If you bought in back here, now you're down here. Do you sell or do you hold on? That's your question. So, I don't think anybody should be this short-term of a trader. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that this is the rearview mirror, this is the foggy windshield, and the only thing that matters is tomorrow. And if you can get that thinking through, you'll have an easier time of getting making decisions. And so when you say you can't see anything in the future, what do you see in August? We saw
There was more turmoil in Europe.
more turmoil in Europe. They didn't pull a plan together. We had a debt downgrade from the United States because we had a deficit debacle that was really ugly. So what happened to the market?
Yep, Moody's downgrade.
Oops, down market. So now you're down here. Does any of this matter? No. The question is, what do you do now? So we're always thinking about the future and moving forward. So you go past that and you can see that, oh, we bounced around for a while and then we came down to the October lows. What happened at the beginning of October?
Well, Europe was getting together and singing Kumbaya. We're going to have a plan.
We're going to have a plan. Merkel and Sarkozy got together and said they're going to have a plan. So the market goes, okay, they said they're going to have a plan. That'll help the markets.
We're going to bail out Greece.
That's right. We're going to figure out the plan. So the market runs up based on that. So it runs all the way up until they get to the plan. And when they get to the plan, everybody looks at the plan and goes,
That's not really a plan.
it's not really a plan, and the market sells off, and we're down to about 1,200 here. So the only thing that matters today, it's 1193 or something today, the only thing that matters today is what's going to happen tomorrow. All of this prior to that isn't important. So I constantly push you to look through the foggy future because that's what really matters when you're trying to make a good financial decision. What you did 5 years ago doesn't matter. What you're going to do 5 years from now does, and you can find clues about what's in the foggy future. You knew that when Merkel said she'd have a plan, she had to have a plan and something was going to happen when she came up with one. So then you assess whether she's going to come up with a good one or not. My assessment was she wasn't going to come up with a good one, but that doesn't mean that she wouldn't have. It just means that's how I assessed the future potential in the foggy windshield.
Well, where can you find all this information?
Well, that's a good question. So I've got one good source here, and I'll just share it with you. This is from Bloomberg, and it's the Bloomberg Economic Calendar, and that's just for today. So it's Monday the 21st, and it gives you a list of all of the economic info coming up. And of course, you can go out weeks and weeks in advance and find out when you're going to get GDP, or when you're going to get housing, or when you're going to get more unemployment data. And of course, those are the kinds of things that move the markets, and those are the kinds of things that impact the economy and what's going on. Plus, if you just pay attention to what the leaders are saying, you'll figure out that, oh, by the way, there's a G20 meeting a week from now, so running up to that, there's going to be some news on, positioning and so on. So you're always trying to figure out that foggy windshield. You're always looking for the future calendar of what's going on, not, oh, gee, what happened today? Let's move on that. It's too late if it happened today. The market already moved. So you're always looking for the foggy windshield.
And what's your takeaway?
My takeaway is looking in the rearview mirror can lead to driving off a cliff. To avoid that, find out what's scheduled to happen in the future, analyze its impact, and assess how best to position yourself for it. It won't always work out, but you will improve your results.